What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to the 8 Below Show. And guys, I'm really excited about tonight. Tonight, everyone, we're going to be talking about Call of Duty and a lot of things that revolve around the game and such. And let's just get right into it, guys, because I'm excited to talk about this and talk about a game that I'm incredibly passionate about. So one thing, guys, that you might notice is that my setup is maybe a little bit different, or may seem like the camera angles may seem just a tad bit different or something. It's actually because, guys, I've been rearranging my setup a little bit, or I'm starting to slowly upgrade my setup, which I'm really excited about. But obviously the background, guys, is of course still the same, but as far as like my desk is concerned, if I were to turn the camera around, you would see that I have a completely new desk. Actually, the desk that I have been using for, geez, man, it's been about the past couple of years on YouTube, has actually basically right over to the side over here that I was using for a long time. And anyways, I've upgraded slightly. I'm going to, of course, when I end up moving eventually, I'll probably end up getting a little bit of a nicer desk and such. But, slowly but surely, we're kind of just growing and, slowly updating the setup as we go. But this is really exciting. I have a little bit more space now, which really is nice. And so I want to give you guys the best possible experience that we can, as far as, with the 8 Below Show. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. I want to say thank you to all of you for all the support that you guys have been giving us here on the YouTube channel, and the support you guys have been giving us with 8 Below. It is absolutely amazing. So today's episode, guys, as I said, is going to be all about Call of Duty. I'll be referencing some articles online, but we're also just going to be giving you guys, this is going to be more one of those episodes I give you a lot of my opinions, my backstory as far as Call of Duty is concerned. Give you guys some of the reasons why I love this franchise, and amongst many, there's a bunch of different games that I love, guys, but Call of Duty's got a soft spot. I have a real spot in my heart for Call of Duty, and I'll kind of talk about that here today. But to start, guys, I thought one thing that would that's kind of I guess a way to introduce us here to Call of Duty. Obviously, you guys can see, even from the background, you can see I have some Call of Duty posters that I have up, and that's not some sort of accident or something that I put Call of Duty posters up, guys. No, Call of Duty is one of my favorite games in the world. I've absolutely loved this franchise over the course of time. I'll tell you how I got into Call of Duty was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, I had played Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but I didn't have Xbox Live or anything along those lines. What I did have, however, was an Xbox, which I was able to, of course, play the campaign or the story mode of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or I should say COD 4. And that was where it started, was COD 4's campaign mode. When I started playing this game, guys, it started to really open my eyes to not only like creativity on the platform, or like just, an immense amount of creativity came to mind when I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, COD 4 for the first time, and just really kind of getting a feel for what the game was all about. And I was like, man, this is such a really cool experience on Xbox. And I just remember, going back all those years when that game came out, I really enjoyed it just for the story mode. I actually played the story mode multiple times. I was trying to get all the achievements that they had on there. I know that they had, of course, some multiplayer, but I really didn't get into the multiplayer, guys, until Modern Warfare 2. Now, when Modern Warfare 2 was released, that was where I really got into the multiplayer of Call of Duty. Now, I will say this, when I played COD 4, I do remember, Modern Warfare 2 came out shortly after I finished COD 4, or at least the campaign. I would say it came out a few months afterwards. So that's kind of like, I'll give you kind of a timeline of what I'm looking at, where I kind of came into the scene playing Call of Duty. And so I started playing Modern Warfare 2. I played the campaign first, which I pretty much still do to this day. I always play the campaign first. I think that story modes are something really special, and I like to, it also kind of gets you, I always feel like with campaign modes in video games, not only do you get introduced to the story and such, but you also get introduced to the mechanics of the game. So it kind of gets you kind of familiarized with how things work in the game, and then you can jump into the multiplayer afterwards, and you start kind of getting, you really already kind of have a handle on the basic gist of the controls and such. Well, anyways, MW2, played the campaign, loved it, thought it was incredible. I thought it was even a notch up from COD 4. And my brother was playing a lot of the multiplayer at the time, my younger brother. And I started playing a little bit of the multiplayer with some of my friends, and I thought that it was absolutely awesome. Got really hooked on it very quickly. Started playing a lot of just, team deathmatch. And, I was, there was a bunch of, we were playing a number of different game modes, mainly team deathmatch, though, just kind of really getting familiarized with multiplayer and just Xbox Live as a whole, because I really hadn't played it up to this point. Well, come to find that my brother was starting to trick shot in Call of Duty. And at first I didn't know what trick shotting was, but then I start, kind of doing a little bit some research on it, start seeing it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is actually really creative. This is really cool. It was something that I really enjoy, that I really thought I would enjoy, because I looked at not only the campaign modes in these games. I love campaign modes. I used to be an achievement junkie. I used to love going after achievements in different games. I would actually just get games from GameFly or from Blockbuster at the time, and I would rent those games, and I would just go after the achievements. I would even look online to see which ones were the easiest to get achievements, because I always wanted to get a bunch of achievements. I just thought that was really a cool feature on Xbox. But anyways, it kind of opened my eyes to that creativity again. You have the campaign modes, which is like, man, this is so creative. This is so cool. These different story modes, and they come to life and you play those characters. Well, this was another way that seemed creative. Like the community was being creative by doing trick shotting. And so that was, around the time that we started watching FaZe Clan and other clans that were coming up. And so we really got into trick shotting. I got very much so into it, to the point where we started a trick shotting clan, and then we ended up joining teams, different clans and such trick shot teams. And that was like a really fun time in Call of Duty between Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2, or kind of even through Black Ops 2. That was where the trick shotting community was at its peak. And even like sniping teams, like, teams that would go for feeds, or for like really awesome sniping kills, quad collats, and all these different all this different terminology, right, in sniping, and which was awesome. So, but with trick shotting, guys, for those of you who aren't familiarized with trick shotting, essentially it was, for the most part, sniping. You would take a sniper rifle and you would do, essentially we started off by jumping off a high elevated building, and you spin around like 360. So you spin around 360 and you try to hit the guy. You hit like an opponent, of course, somewhere on the map, wherever they are, and you try to get it as like a final kill cam. So like in Search and Destroy, we would you'd kill all of the, basically the other team, and once they were on the last person alive, everyone would go for trick shots, trying to hit a cool looking trick shot with that last person alive. And then this created a lot of, people setting up, like the person on the other team would like stand there while you're trying to go for a trick shot. And, it was just like a really interesting time in the community. I'll never forget that. It was a really awesome time. It was just a lot of fun. I mean, spent so much time playing, trick shotting, which at the, now that I look back on it, it's like, man, I could have done so much other stuff within Call of Duty, like creating more content and stuff at that time. But you see, guys, back then we didn't really know what this was all going to be. We knew YouTube was, of course, growing and all that. We saw the community was growing. We saw FaZe was growing. Optic was growing. We saw all these things. I just wish that sometimes I kind of wish that if I were to have been able to go back, I would have really focused so much more on just content, not so much trying to hit trick shots and that be the content. I would just try to, if I'm, hitting trick shots or not, still creating content. And I think like, that kind of brings me to where we are as far as on this YouTube channel. I mean, since we started the channel on, July 24th of 2018, we haven't missed a day of uploading. And so you can see kind of, growth is slow, guys, but it just takes time. And I wish that I would have been able to do that back in the day. Obviously, I have no regrets like playing that much with my friends and just making those memories, things that we can talk about and think about for years to come now. But it's just it's a beautiful thing. I mean, really is, like, thinking back on it, and, a lot of potential there. I thought we had, joining different trick shot teams or sniping teams and creating teams of our own. I remember a couple of them, one of them being Tron. We created a team called Tron, and then we also created, I joined a team called Animal, which was like, I really, one of the best logos in all of esports, or I should say all of gaming. In my opinion, I would have loved to see Animal become something more than just a gaming team, like an esports team. I think that would have been really awesome. But just so many different teams that I was kind of, would play in or be a part of for a period of time. And that was kind of like that time where there was so much clan hopping and people were jumping around from team to team, and it was all about, like, people trying to stay loyal to a specific team. It was really interesting, a very interesting time. But anyways, guys, MW2 is kind of where it started, right, for Call of Duty for me. Then we move onwards, and where I really, you have Black Ops 1, you have MW3, but you also have Black Ops 2. And Black Ops 2, guys, I mean, I pretty much stayed committed to playing each of the Call of Duties up to this point. But it always seemed like with Black Ops 1 would come back to MW2. MW3, we would come back to MW2. But Black Ops 2 is kind of where everything changed. We had Black Ops 2 was, the trick shotting was on another level. You could do even more like creative trick shots in BO2, which I thought was awesome. And the sniping was great. It was just overall a well-balanced game, in my opinion. I believe to this day that Black Ops 2 was the best Call of Duty ever made. It was the best. MW2 takes a very close second, but I just believe that Black Ops 2 was number one, in my opinion. Not only for trick shotting, sniping, pub stomping. You could do whatever you wanted, but I thought it was also really good for esports. I thought it was well balanced for the esports side, and I would love to see that game, kind of I don't know if it remastered or whatever, but I want to see the pros kind of back on that game again and playing Black Ops 2 again, or something very similar to that, because I thought it was just the best overall Call of Duty ever made. Even with the campaign mode, I thought campaign was great. I know a lot of people like zombies. I was never a huge zombies fan, but overall, guys, it was just a great game. Very fun, great experiences, and that was where even more creativity came in. But I just felt like all these years, guys, between MW2 and BO2, those were the years where I could have been making so much more content like we're doing here today, but that was when we were still trick shotting and really into it. I can honestly say, like, the furthest I got, guys, not really with trick shotting, but I was actually a leader of a team, as far as I would try to help lead teams and such. And, kind of create content for those teams. And so that's what we did a lot of. And you guys can see a lot of the videos that I used to make in Call of Duty. A lot of those were news-based videos or just videos about Call of Duty and such. And those are all have been re-uploaded on my second channel, Zero 2. You guys can check those out at some point or another if you'd like. But hundreds of videos that I made, right? Well, anyways, BO2 was kind of like the pinnacle. It was like the peak of the Call of Duty community. And that's kind of where, how as a whole I got into COD. I got into Call of Duty, guys, based around COD 4 and interest in it, and then everybody's playing Modern Warfare 2, and I'm playing that as well, and then it just went to another level with Black Ops 2, put a ton of time into Black Ops 2, and the rest really is history. I mean, I've put a lot of time into Call of Duty, but nothing like MW2 and BO2. I mean, there was, I stopped playing as significantly with some of the newer Call of Duties, that being, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare. And then I started playing more again once we had World War II, Black Ops 4, of course, Modern Warfare coming out. But that was kind of how I got into it. I got into it because I picked the game up. I was like, man, this Call of Duty game, it looks cool. You know, my friends were really into war games as well. And so I was like, you know, I'm going to give this a shot. I only had the campaign mode, or I was only able to play offline, played campaign, and fell in love with Call of Duty. And that's just how the story kind of started for me.